Let's get right into it. Number 10. The confidence illusion. Money doesn't just change your lifestyle, it changes how people see you, hear you, and believe you. There's a psychological glitch called the halo effect, when we assume someone who looks successful is successful. You see a guy step out of a Lamborghini, wearing a Rolex, and your brain instantly decides he must be smarter, harder working, and better with money than you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Half the time, he's just really good at financing things he can't afford. Money has this strange way of rewriting the narrative around a person. The same sentence, "I'm taking a year off," sounds irresponsible when a broke student says it, but visionary when a millionaire says it. Money makes mediocrity sound like strategy. That illusion goes both ways. Research from Princeton showed that people perceive wealthy individuals as more competent even when they're objectively wrong. In one experiment, participants saw two business people making identical presentations. The only difference was that one had a higher net worth listed on the slide. Guess which one everyone thought had better ideas? The rich one. That's why so many fake gurus thrive online. They rent cars, stand in front of mansions, and film next to borrowed private jets. Not because they're rich, but because the illusion of wealth is more powerful than actual proof. It triggers authority, credibility, and aspiration all at once. But here's the secret advantage most people miss. You don't need to be rich to use this psychology, you just need to signal competence. You can look like you know what you're doing by how you carry yourself. Dressing neatly, speaking clearly, showing gratitude instead of desperation. Those cues make people assume you're doing well. And when people assume you're doing well, they treat you differently. Better job offers, better deals, better respect. Of course, there's a darker side. That same illusion makes people overspend to keep up appearances. They start chasing validation instead of wealth. And suddenly, they're not controlling money. Money's controlling them. The real confidence advantage of money isn't in buying power, it's in mental freedom. When you know rent's covered, food's handled, and you're not 3 paychecks from disaster, your brain stops panicking. You become calmer, sharper, and yes, more confident. People think money changes who you are, but it doesn't. It just removes the fear that hides who you really are. So while others flex fake luxury to impress strangers, the real flex is silent stability, the kind of money that doesn't have to speak, because it already changed the way you think. Number 9. The happiness curve. Everyone says money can't buy happiness. But the truth? It absolutely can, up to a point. There's a well-known study from Princeton that found happiness rises with income, but only until you hit around $75,000 a year. Beyond that, your day-to-day joy doesn't improve much. At least that's what everyone kept quoting for a decade, until a more recent study came along and said, actually, happiness keeps rising with income, but in a different way. Here's how it really works. If you're struggling to pay bills, money removes pain, it's relief. If you're financially stable, money adds pleasure, it's freedom. But once you're wealthy, money no longer adds happiness, it adds options. And options don't always make you happier, they make you anxious. That's why millionaires often talk about losing the spark. They have the house, the cars, the vacations, but they've lost friction. And friction is what gives life meaning. When everything's too easy, you stop chasing. And chasing is what makes us feel alive. Here's the hidden advantage most people don't notice. When you're not rich yet, your happiness curve is still climbing. You get dopamine hits from progress. The small wins, paying off debt, getting a raise, saving your first $1,000 feel like victories. Rich people don't get that feeling anymore because there's nothing left to conquer. But here's the paradox. Money can make you happier if you know how to spend it right. A Harvard study found that spending on experiences increases happiness way more than spending on things. Why? Because experiences create stories, and stories build identity. The new phone becomes normal in a week, but that random road trip you took with your friends, you'll laugh about it for years. The next hidden trick, generosity. When you spend money on others, it activates the same brain regions as receiving a reward. The act of giving, even something small, like buying a friend coffee, hits harder than buying it for yourself. That's why the wealthiest people in the world often turn into philanthropists. Not because they suddenly grew hearts, but because generosity became their only way to feel anything. Here's where it gets dark though. Money can fake happiness too. Luxury becomes anesthesia. It numbs you, not fulfills you. You stop doing things because you enjoy them and start doing them because they look successful. The car, the watch, the vacation, all curated for the feed, not the feeling. So no, money doesn't guarantee happiness, but it can buy the time, peace, and freedom to find it. The trick is knowing when to stop chasing upgrades and start chasing meaning. Because once your happiness curve flattens, the next upgrade won't come from your wallet, it'll come from your mindset. Number 8, the time advantage. Money doesn't just buy stuff, it buys time. And time is the most valuable currency on the planet, because it's the one thing you can't make more of. Here's the real secret the rich figured out early. Everyone gets the same 24 hours, but not everyone has to spend them the same way. A broke person trades time for money. A rich person trades money for time. That's it. That's the whole game. Where most people are stuck in a cycle of busyness. They cook their own meals, clean their house, fix their car, do their taxes because it feels responsible. But the wealthy outsource anything that doesn't multiply their time. They don't clean, they buy time. They don't mow lawns, they buy focus. They don't do small tasks, because every hour spent on $10 work kills $1,000 opportunities. The average person thinks, I can't afford to pay someone for that. But the wealthy think, I can't afford to waste my hours doing that. And that difference in thinking compounds massively. Imagine two people. One works 10 hours a day doing everything themselves, feeling productive but constantly exhausted. The other works 5 focused hours, pays others for the rest, and spends evenings thinking, planning, and resting. Guess who makes smarter moves long term? The one who has time to think. See, here's the dirty truth. No one tells you about money. The more of it you have, the slower your life becomes. You stop rushing. You plan. You delegate. While everyone else is panicking to survive, you're strategizing to expand. And the biggest time advantage, freedom of choice. Most people wake up when they're told, go where they're told, and work how they're told. Money removes that leash. It lets you choose when, where, and how you live your life. That's why financial freedom isn't really about Ferraris or mansions. It's about waking up on a Tuesday and realizing you can decide what your day looks like and no one can stop you. But here's where it gets interesting. Some people finally get that freedom, and they waste it. They fill their schedules again. They can't handle silence. They don't know what to do with time that isn't spent chasing something. The trick isn't just to buy time, it's to learn how to use it. And when you finally figure that out, you realize the biggest wealth flex isn't a Rolex. It's waking up with no alarm clock. The freedom to slow down is the ultimate sign you've sped ahead. Number 7. The debt weapon. Debt is supposed to be the enemy. That's what every school, every parent, and every finance expert tells you. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Debt made the rich rich. See, most people use debt like a grenade. They pull the pin, buy something shiny, and hope it doesn't explode before payday. The wealthy? They use debt like a sword, sharp, intentional, and always aimed at something that makes them more money. The average person takes out a loan to buy a car, something that loses value. The rich take out loans to buy assets, something that pays them back. The difference isn't risk, it's strategy. Because the system isn't designed to punish debt, it's designed to punish bad debt. If you max out your credit cards on gadgets, you're a liability. But if you borrow millions to build something that employs people and generates taxes, you're a visionary. Same act, different title. Here's a dark truth. Here's a dark truth. Governments and banks don't want you debt-free. They want you predictably indebted. A little stress keeps you working, keeps you spending, keeps the system running. But the moment you learn how to control debt instead of fearing it, you become dangerous. That's what the wealthy figured out decades ago. They borrow cheap money, buy appreciating assets like real estate, stocks, or businesses, and let inflation eat away their debt's value over time. In simple terms, they use future dollars that are worth less to pay for things that are worth more. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is stuck doing the opposite, buying depreciating junk on expensive credit, paying interest on things that die the moment they swipe the card. Debt is a trap and a tool. And whether it destroys you or builds you depends entirely on who's holding it. Want proof? When you owe the bank $1,000, that's your problem. When you owe them $100 million, that's their problem. Suddenly, you're not a debtor, you're a partner. And here's the scary part. The system rewards people who play that game. You pay off your mortgage early, you lose your tax advantages. You stay in good debt, investing strategically, you look broke on paper and the government thanks you for it. The rich understood something the middle class never realized. Debt isn't a sign of weakness, it's a lever. And the moment you figure out how to pull it the right way, you stop working for money, and money starts working for you. So no, debt isn't evil, it's just a weapon. And like every weapon, it's only dangerous in the wrong hands. Number 6. The scarcity trick. The oldest marketing trick in the world isn't flashy ads or celebrity endorsements, it's scarcity. The illusion that something is running out, so you better grab it now. It's everywhere. Only 3 left in stock. Flash sale ends in 2 hours. Last chance before prices go up. But here's the thing, none of it's real. Scarcity isn't about supply, it's about psychology. Humans are wired to value what's rare. If we think something's slipping away, our brain floods with adrenaline and dopamine, the same chemicals released during a chase. That's why your heart races when you see only 1 seat remaining. It's not logic, it's biology. Marketers know that better than neuroscientists. They've turned scarcity into an art form, and your bank account is their favorite canvas. Let's break it down. You walk into a luxury store and see a $400 hoodie. You scoff. Then the clerk says, "This is our last one in that size." Suddenly, you're considering it. Nothing about the hoodie changed. But the story did. Or think about how airlines manipulate urgency. You check a flight once and 5 minutes later you get a pop-up. Prices are rising. 5 people are viewing this route right now. They created digital panic. And it works. But here's the twist. Scarcity doesn't just make you spend more. It makes you value less. Ever notice how the rush fades after you buy something that felt urgent? That's the dopamine crash. The same system that made you chase also makes you bored once you catch it. And companies rely on that too. Because when you crash, you look for your next hit. Another flash sale. Another drop. Another only today deal. It's addiction, disguised as shopping. But scarcity doesn't just exist in marketing. It exists in mindset. When you believe money is scarce, you make desperate decisions. You chase quick wins instead of smart ones. You panic sell investments. You overwork. You underprice yourself. Because your brain thinks there's not enough of money, of time, of opportunity. That's how the rich keep winning. They've detached from the illusion of scarcity. They don't chase, they wait. They don't fear missing out because they know there's always another deal, another market, another play. Here's the paradox. Scarcity makes you spend like you're rich, but think like you're broke. Abundance does the opposite. You spend carefully because you don't fear missing out. Next time you see only 2 left in stock, remind yourself. If something truly rare is being advertised to you, it's not rare. The real scarcity isn't the product, it's your attention. And right now, everyone's trying to buy it. So stop selling it cheap. Number 5, the status trap. Money stopped being about survival a long time ago. Now it's about status. And that's exactly how the system keeps you broke by making you compete in a game that never ends. Let's be honest. Most people don't buy a $1,000 phone because they need it. They buy it because of what it says about them. That they're successful, smart, relevant. That they belong. But here's the trap. The moment you play the status game, you've already lost. Because status isn't something you own. It's something you rent, and the rent is due every month. That's why luxury brands don't sell products. They sell identity. Gucci doesn't sell you a belt. They sell you the feeling of being above average. Rolex doesn't sell watches. They sell proof that your time matters more than other people's. It's genius because you can never really arrive. There's always a newer model, a bigger logo, a limited edition drop. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. You keep running, thinking you're making progress, but you're staying in the same place emotionally. Your brain adapts to every upgrade and demands the next one. That's why billionaires still want more. Because money stops being about comfort. It becomes about comparison. The moment you start chasing money for status, it stops being a tool and becomes a leash. Here's the ugly truth most people won't admit. They don't want to be rich. They want to look rich. That's why people finance cars they can't afford and post vacations they put on credit. The illusion of success feels more valuable than actual stability. But the people who actually have money, they do the opposite. They drive boring cars. They wear plain clothes. They spend money on freedom, not flexing. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958, worth less than the average LA apartment. Meanwhile, influencers who pretend to have his kind of money are drowning in debt. Here's the secret advantage no one talks about. The moment you stop competing, you win. Because the status game has no finish line, only burnout. The richest feeling isn't being envied, it's being unbothered. The system wants you insecure, because insecurity sells. But if you ever stop caring about looking rich, you'll realize you can actually become rich. You can't buy peace of mind in a store, but you can stop making payments on insecurity. Number 4, the inflation illusion. Inflation is the invisible tax you never voted for, and the cruel part is, it's designed so most people never notice it happening. When you hear inflation, you think of prices going up. But that's not what it really is. Inflation isn't about prices rising, it's about your money shrinking. The $100 in your pocket doesn't buy less because things got more expensive. It buys less because your money got weaker. Think about it, a gallon of milk in 1970 cost 1.15 cents. Today it's over $5. The milk didn't change. The dollar did. Governments love inflation because it lets them borrow money today and pay it back later in cheaper dollars. It's financial time travel. They win, while your savings quietly die. But here's the illusion. They tell you it's normal. A healthy 2-3% inflation rate, they say, is good for the economy. Translation. A little bit of your money disappearing every year keeps the machine running. You work harder, save more, but you're running on a treadmill that's secretly speeding up. You think you're getting ahead, but your buying power is silently bleeding out. And who benefits? The people who own assets. Because while cash loses value, things like real estate, stocks, and commodities rise with inflation. Your $100 turns into $95, but their $100 investment turns into $110 and will leave. The system rewards ownership and punishes saving. It's that simple. But that's why the rich don't save money, they store value. They park it in businesses, art, property, or anything inflation can't eat alive. Meanwhile, the average person is told to just save, like they're putting cash in a time capsule. But when they open that capsule, 10 years later, it's half empty. Inflation is like a magician's trick. You think you're watching your paycheck grow, but the real action is happening in your grocery bill. Your raise looks good on paper, until you realize you're paying more for everything else. Here's a sobering thought. If you saved $10,000 in 2000 and never touched it, that money now buys what $500 to $800 did back then. You didn't lose a cent, but you lost half your power. And the crazy part? Inflation doesn't hit everyone equally. It crushes the middle class the hardest because they have just enough to save, but not enough to invest. So they play defense while the rich play offense. The government can print money. You can't. So the only real defense is to stop playing their game. Buy things that grow while your cash shrinks. Because the illusion of safe savings is exactly what keeps most people broke. Inflation is the quietest crime, and it happens right in your wallet. Number 3, the loyalty illusion. We've all heard it since childhood. Loyalty pays off. But in the world of money, loyalty doesn't pay. It costs. Companies want you to believe loyalty is rewarded. They sell you points, perks, memberships, exclusive offers. They call it a loyalty program. But what it really means is, we've figured out how to make you spend more and feel good about it. Let's take a closer look. You walk into your favorite coffee shop. You've been going there for years. You order your usual, smile at the barista. Then you notice the new sign, join our rewards program, earn 10 points per dollar. You sign up because, why not? It's free. But here's what happens next. You start buying more often. You justify extra drinks because you're earning points. You feel like you're getting value, but all you're really doing is buying faster. Starbucks isn't rewarding loyalty. They're monetizing habit. Those free coffees you earn, they come after spending way more than you ever would have without the program. But it's not just coffee shops. It's airlines, credit cards, retail stores, banks. They all run on the same psychology, make you believe you're special. And it works because loyalty triggers emotion. Humans crave belonging. We love to feel recognized. So when your favorite brand calls you a VIP, your brain lights up. You feel chosen, but you're really targeted. The most loyal customers are also the easiest to exploit. They don't compare prices. They don't switch providers. They don't question hidden fees. Because loyalty makes you trust, and trust makes you blind. Think about your bank. You've been with them for years. You assume they're giving you the best deal. They're not. They're charging you for convenience, and your loyalty is their excuse. New customers get the sign-up bonuses, the 0% offers, the perks. You get nostalgia. Even employers use loyalty against you. They say, we value long-term employees, but who gets the biggest raises? The new hires. Because loyalty keeps you from asking for more, and they know it. Here's the truth. No brand wants you to hear. Loyalty is only valuable when you're the one being paid for it. If your loyalty isn't giving you leverage, it's just a leash. That's why the smartest investors, workers, and consumers all do one thing. They stay loyal to principles, not companies. Principles like, buy value, not branding. Negotiate, don't assume. And never confuse a relationship with a transaction. Because in the modern economy, loyalty isn't currency, it's bait. And the longer you stay hooked, the more it costs to break free. Number 2, the get-rich-quick paradox. If there's one promise that never goes out of style, it's this. You can get rich fast. Every generation has its version. In the 80s, it was penny stocks. In the 2000s, real estate flipping. In the 2020s, crypto, dropshipping, AI side hustles. The tools change. The illusion doesn't. The get-rich-quick mindset works, just not for you. It works for the person selling it. Let's break it down. When you're chasing quick money, you're not investing, you're gambling. You're reacting to hype, emotion, and urgency, the exact tools scammers use to keep you impulsive. And they've perfected the art of it. It starts with a story. A 22-year-old who turned $500 into $2 million. A screenshot of insane profits. A flashy lifestyle. Your brain lights up. If they can do it, maybe I can too. Then comes the bait. A course, a program, a limited mentorship. They don't make their money from the system they're teaching. They make it from you buying the dream. Even legitimate opportunities, crypto, stocks, e-commerce, can turn toxic once that mindset kicks in. Because when your time horizon is get rich this month, you'll fall for anything that looks like progress. But wealth doesn't reward speed. It rewards patience, boredom, and consistency. Here's the paradox. When your brain is tuned to spot inconsistencies, the world becomes a never-ending puzzle. Everyone chasing quick money ends up broke slowly, while the ones building slow money end up rich quickly. Take Bitcoin, for example. The people who got truly wealthy weren't the ones day trading. They were the ones who bought, held, ignored the noise, and waited. Same with real estate. Same with index funds. Same with business. Every get-rich-quick scheme ends with the same line. Turns out it wasn't that quick. But here's why the cycle never ends. Hope sells. And the people who feel stuck are the easiest to sell it to. The promise of speed feels better than the reality of discipline. That's why social media is full of overnight success stories. They show the highlight reel, not the 10 years of invisible work behind it. And yet, the paradox holds true. If you focus on getting rich slowly, you eventually do. If you focus on getting rich quickly, you never will. The moment you stop chasing shortcuts, you start building systems. And systems beat luck every single time. Getting rich isn't supposed to feel exciting. It's supposed to feel inevitable. Number 1. The money myth. We all believe. There's one belief that silently controls how almost everyone handles money. And it's the reason most people will never feel rich, no matter how much they earn. That belief is this: more money will fix my problems. It sounds logical, right? If you're struggling, more money should make life easier. But here's the twist. It doesn't fix problems. It amplifies them. If you're bad with $1,000, you'll be worse with $100,000. If you're stressed with one job, you'll be burnt out with 5 income streams. Money doesn't change who you are. It just turns the volume up. We've seen it 1,000 times. The lottery winner who goes broke. The influencer who earns millions but still lives paycheck to paycheck. The athlete with a mansion who ends up in debt. They didn't lose because they lacked money. They lost because they lacked structure. See, schools teach you how to make money, but not how to manage it. We're trained to chase income, not systems. And that's why this myth is so powerful. It keeps people on the treadmill forever. Every milestone just moves the goalpost. I'll be happy when I make $5K a month. Then it's $10K, then $50K, then $1 million. The target shifts, but the emptiness stays. Because wealth isn't a number, it's a ratio. It's the space between what you earn and what you need. And if your needs grow faster than your income, you'll always feel poor. That's why some people making $3,000 a month feel rich, and others making $30,000 feel broke. Happiness doesn't scale with money, but stress does. Money can buy comfort, options, time, but not peace of mind. Because peace doesn't come from your bank account. It comes from control. Control over your habits. Control over your time. Control over how much you need before you feel okay. If you can master that, you've already won the game, no matter what's in your wallet. So next time you catch yourself saying, I just need more money, pause for a second. Ask, or do I just need to need less? Because the ultimate wealth isn't about earning endlessly. It's about escaping dependency. And that's the secret no financial guru will ever tell you. When you stop chasing more, you finally have enough.